Hey guys, today I'm stood inside my little forest house that I've been working on. And I'm going to show you just how I do my interiors in this little interior space we have on the second floor. I thought I would do a little step-by-step process on how I figure this out. Move into the upstairs. The first thing that I want to do when I'm working on an interior is I want to figure out the layout. So I'm going to figure that out using my brain. You have to, sometimes it's a bit hard to use your brain. It is for me sometimes. So I'm gonna look around and I'm gonna think, oh yeah, somebody probably wants to have a bedroom next to these balconies, and same with this balcony in the back. And because this is such a large area, it would probably be the big bedroom in this one. But then we think, is this too large a bedroom? I also want to have a bathroom in this house, so I am going to add one in like that. And then for the second bedroom, going to come out like this, and probably do something like this. Except now the bathroom is completely inaccessible to everyone else. Sometimes it takes me a few tries and iterations of where I want things all laid out, because it's kind of a process to figure out. Especially in kind of a small area like this, there's really only so much you can do. Could have a bathroom kind of like this in this area. This is a nice bedroom size. It's honestly a bit of an awkward area, but we'll make do. Just gonna test out some stairs here, see if I like them. This is kind of a bad spot to be left off in, so we're just gonna turn the staircase to the side. And then on this upper layer, we have far more space for more rooms and stuff. So honestly, if we wanted to, we could end up making kind of the first layout, making the bathroom a bit smaller and having another bathroom the full family can access on this third floor. Up here in the attic, we might have a little area like this, have a space in here, and then have another wall going like this. For the upper bathroom up here, we can have it maybe something like that. So we have another bedroom here, another bedroom over here, a bathroom, and then downstairs 2 more bedrooms and a bathroom. Once we figured out the main layout of the room, then I'm going to put some wallpaper up. Except it's a bit pink in here already, so I'm a bit unsure of what wallpaper I want. So then I'm going to go and look in this search items. Step-by-step tutorial right now. Search items. And I'm just gonna scroll and scroll and scroll and then scroll some more, and hopefully I will find something, and it might take a few million years. I think this brown terracotta is acceptable for now. Do something like this. Make a little doorway. And we'll just put in the rest of the walls. When I'm building interiors too, and building the exterior really, I like to make sure that I have enough room for a ceiling beneath the floor layer so that we don't have to see the same gross stuff on the inside. This one room is going to be a bit small, but you know. And then up to the third layer, we're going to put in some more walls up here. And then once we have kind of all of this laid out, then I usually like to work on the ceiling next. Luckily downstairs I have a pretty good ceiling design that I'm just gonna copy entirely. I'm allowed to copy my own stuff. I put the ceiling into segments so that it's a bit easier to navigate. And then I add some glowstone in the center, some stairs around the glowstone, and some strip logs in the corners. Then in areas like bedrooms and such, I didn't even put in a wall here. Oops. In areas like bedrooms, I'm gonna have a different kind of ceiling because that one's a bit much for a bedroom. Typically, I like to have some cross beams and then some slabs. And we of course have to have some light in the room. And in sections, I'm going to bring the roof down so that it kind of does a slope like this. So it goes stair, slab, slab, up. And it just makes a interesting ceiling so that it's not so bland, I guess. And then I get a little ceiling like this. This is a lot more cozier than this one. And I'm just gonna do this quickly in all of the bedrooms and be right back. With the upstairs rooms, it's a little bit different because they're, you know, kind of sloped and can't really make them not sloped. So, figuring out a design, I usually like to have a central beam going down. That's not the center. A central beam going down the center of the house. Kind of like so. We just kind of do something like this. Another maybe low beam going through, and then the rest we can keep working on with some of these. In the center, we'll do a little light, and we'll continue putting some of these on around the place. In areas like this, it's a little bit awkward because the stair is in the way of where the roof is, so it's blocking, so we're just gonna have to pretend that that's perfectly reasonable. To help a bit, we'll do something like this on this side so it doesn't look too out of place. And to disguise that little bit of the roof on the underside, we can just do something like this. We can pass under that perfectly fine. So that's just kind of the roof for the interior on this level, and I'm just gonna, again, continue that for the rest of the roof. Finishing up just the bones of the actual house, we're gonna put the doors in, and we're also gonna put some railings in. In areas like this, we're just gonna put some trapdoors like that. We're gonna place the doors in everywhere. And up here, we're gonna have a little railing. Of course, it's a bit of a tight squeeze, so we have to kind of do some fiddly stuff like this. But it works, and we can get all around that just fine. I'm also going to quickly put in the glass panes that I forgot because those kind of need to be here. I was thinking in the bathrooms we might actually replace the floor with a tile floor just to make it a little bit nicer. And actually in this upstairs bathroom, it's such limited space that I was even thinking that we might extend the bathroom outwards just a little bit. Just quickly see how that might look. Maybe not that, but we can make it kind of look like that. And if we kind of cut into this room a little bit, we have a whole extra section of the bathroom. Adding in a little window here, we have a whole extra space. And we can redo the roof a bit. Put in some little stuff like this. It's gonna be reworked once we get furniture in here. I definitely can see that. But for now, I thought we might extend the bathroom. And that doesn't look too bad on this side, so it's fine. We'll do a similar thing in the downstairs bathroom floor. And I think finally, we are able to really get into the furnishing. When it comes to furnishing the inside of the house, I'm just going to quickly go over some of how I choose the layout of the furnishing in the room. Since this room is kind of the master bedroom of the house, with an ensuite and all of that, we're using the fancy terms, we're going to probably want a double bed in this room. But as you can see, we don't really want it right in the center. This room is very oddly shaped, so it's kind of hard to choose a great spot. For an example, you probably wouldn't want to place your double bed right here. Similarly, you probably wouldn't want to have it right here either. So, when it comes to odd layouts like this, you're probably not going to get the perfect spot for a bed anyway, so sometimes you're just going to kind of think, what is the least worst option? I have two options in mind. We have this layout where the bed is in the corner, but both sides can be accessed. And this version, with the beds kind of like this underneath the windows. Considering the kind of bed that I want to build in this room, I'm thinking that having the bed right here, even though it's not the greatest spot for it, is going to work out the best. I'm kind of going to be doing a, not necessarily 4-poster bed, but close to kind of what I can get in Minecraft. Doing something like that, and then getting some dark oak slabs, I'm going to be placing those up here. Making a little area for the bed to sit. We have a little nightstand on this side where I can put a lantern. And most importantly, to finish off this bed, I'm going to use banners to make curtains. Making purple stripes on a white banner and then placing white stripes over those purple stripes, I'm making a subtle kind of curtain look. I'm just going to place these over the ends right now. Then I'm simply placing dark oak signs around the base of the bed. It's not the fanciest bed design in the world, but with the limited space, I think it works. Then for the rest of the room, we probably want a dresser and a carpet and maybe even a chair. For this room, we're using purple as the accent color. We have lighting in the ceiling, so there's really no need to put lighting in the floor. If you feel like the area needs some extra lighting, you can always make a nice carpet like this and then put some glowstone in the floor and cover it up. And you're making a fluffy looking rug on the ground that kind of stands up in some places. There really is no right or wrong way to be making a room. Even if you put the bed right in front of the door. If that works for you, it's a good room. But when it comes to furniture and wanting to make furniture, in a game like Minecraft where everything basically is just blocks that don't quite like fully make sense, just making something that looks vaguely like what you're trying to make is good enough. In the corner, we're making kind of a little dresser. And you can kind of do this however you want. I thought having this thing in it might be kind of interesting. On the top of the cabinets, it could be a place where they would want to store random things, so maybe we just put an empty pot up there. We might also want a bigger pot to showcase some flowers or something like that. Maybe they have a favorite kind of bush that they want to grow in their room, like a little azalea. We can also add in a chair and put some trapdoors on the side. You can kind of use whatever trapdoor colors you want. We have a little chair like that. We've already kind of filled up a lot of the space already. It does make the space kind of narrow, but I was thinking of putting another chair here just to make this a kind of little area to sit and hang out. And of course, I gotta finish it off with my favorite painting. This guy. Yeah, he's gonna sit there and watch. I can also add some curtains around the room. And maybe add some curtain rods. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just kind of adding stuff at this point. This is when I get to the point where I just look around and see if there's areas that don't quite look right. Like over here, I can't really put curtains, or else they'd be covering the full thing. Or in here, I can't put any curtains. So it's gonna have to go without them. In other areas, I kind of look at it and I say, looks a little bit strange. But there's really only so much I can do to make it not look strange, so cover up some areas, add to others, and hope that it's not terrible. All things considered, this is a pretty full room for how small it is, so I think we'll move on to the balcony. Now this balcony is overlooking the water outside, so I might want to put some chairs or something nice out here. But because the ground is already pretty dark, and while that works inside the house, outside the house I might want to add some lighter chairs. When I have two seats right next to each other and there's not enough room for trapdoor on either side, I just do an open fence gate. And then maybe we have another pot in the corner just to finish things up. And in this one we can have a little cherry sapling, just to kind of sit there in the corner. Balconies don't typically have much, so that's done in my books. Continuing on with the other bedrooms, I thought I might do them all right now because it's kind of better to do the bedrooms together. This is another very interestingly shaped room. Ordinarily, it would be a bedroom, but considering its strange shape, it actually might be better as an office. To make it an office, we're gonna put in a table. Extending over like that, one that we can easily get around, and we can get and access all of the balconies on this level. To make the chair look like it's separate and fancier, we're going to use dark oak for this. We actually might use a slab instead so that we can actually... Nope, we are not using a slab because we cannot. I'm just going to put some trapdoors around this guy, and then on the table we can have some candles, maybe a little pot, and we're gonna light the candles too, make them glow. Sometimes if you want to, you can add a lectern to the table, to the desk, and you can even put a book in, and you can definitely get away with it, and it does make a chair like this actually one you can sit in. But today I'm not going to be doing this. I'm just simply going to be using a trapdoor here, and this is going to be our table. We'll put a little sapling in there. Since this is a study, I'm thinking we want some bookshelves. Or you can have some bookshelves here in the corner, except it takes up a huge amount of space. So maybe we want to build it into the walls and make it feel like an actual fixture. Considering we have a little bit of space right here, we could do something like that. Except it's ugly. If we build the bookshelves into the wall like this means we can have a chair here that maybe a visitor can come in and sit on. Ignore this, I was experimenting. We're just gonna remove that, pretend it didn't happen. Then in the corner, we're going to do the classic double pot and just have a flower in it or something. Maybe this guy. This guy seems interesting. We'll put him here. Just to kind of finish off the space. This corner is a little bit lacking, so maybe we want a bookshelf here. For a little enclosed area, it's okay. Again, enclosed areas tend to be difficult to work with. So keep that in mind when you're working in a small area, just to not get too stuck up on little details, because honestly, it's a small space. You're doing the best you can with what the game has provided you with. And upstairs in this bedroom, we have a sloped and slanted roof. So again, we're working with some limited space. To kind of cheat that a little bit, we can use some of this as a table. And then the rest as a little storage unit. We can cut into the ceiling and add some storage space. Here is another chair design that I like to use, where I just have a slab, and then on all other sides we have trapdoors. We can even use different color trapdoors to make it stand out a little bit better, or use some signs on the side to make it look a little bit more chair shaped. We can add some more storage here. And then in some areas where we maybe want a little painting, but we can't really fit one in, we cut into the ceiling and we can just add whatever painting we feel like. Except I always forget which one's which, so we're gonna have to go through them. Maybe just a little one like that. And then for the floor, we're gonna add in a nice carpet. And it can kind of go like this. We can add some lumps into it where they fit. And here we have a cozy little room that is fairly small, but still works with the space. And again, you can always add in things like armor stands and more flower pots and just little things to make it a bit more cozy. But for this room, I thought I might go with a more clean look. Then for this last bedroom, since it's a larger area again, we're going to have a bigger bed. To make the space a little bit more usable, we're going to extend this wall out. And we will place the bed right here. We can also put some storage in the wall. And like that, we have a nice poster bed that kind of connects to the ceiling, but we can ignore that. We'll add a little side table here with maybe some candles on it. We can even bring some color into the room using the candles. For the rest of the space, let's quickly add in a rug so that we can kind of get the feel of the area. And we can start adding in some furniture on this side. I think we'll add another desk into this room. We'll just have it right here. And we will have a little chair sitting right in front of that. We'll put a flower pot into this room. Maybe with an azalea. And we're also going to add in a curtain for the window. I do yellow stripes and then white stripes on top of that. And just like that, we have some curtains for this room. And we can consider this complete if you want. You can add some paintings or something else. Now for the bathrooms. Now these rooms, we have to take lots of liberties in these kind of rooms because there's basically nothing in the game that fits rooms like this. The only thing we kind of have going is the cauldron for a sink. And maybe quartz for a toilet. But in our nice little area here, there's not much that we can do to make this area too realistic. What we can do is we can add in a bathtub. Here in the window, put some of this spruce here. And we can pretend that this is where they get the water for their little bathtub. And so they can go in here. You can't really access it unless you do this. Now you're in the bathtub and now you can't get out. You're stuck in forever. Also, there's no water in the bathtub, so you're basically a prisoner. But considering that we don't actually have to use the bathtub, we can just pretend that it works perfectly fine. And we can then ponder why we have chosen such a small space to work with, because now we have no room for a toilet. Oops. Didn't think that one through. Maybe it's a really old-fashioned house and they don't have toilets inside their houses. Instead, they go outside in the woods. We'll say that. They have a wooden bathtub. Those aren't exactly modern. So maybe they just go outside and we don't actually know where they go. Modern problems require modern solutions. Just, sneaking through here. Minding our business. Why would they need a toilet in their house when they have a toilet here? Perfect. Perfect, flawless reasoning. Oh my gosh, so brilliant. Oh my gosh, they'll never know that I completely didn't plan for the stuff to be so small, and yeah, they're gonna think that was a great idea. So our bathroom is complete just like that. Wow, I sure am glad that we completed that bathroom very easily. Now we can just copy this entire design on the floor below. A similar sort of thing can go in here. We can have our bathtub right here. Except this one you can actually access. And then over here we can have our nice little sink. And because we don't need a toilet in the house, we can just have some storage in here. Maybe we can have a little towel holder in the room. How nice and lovely. And with that, this bathroom is complete, I think. Bathrooms are kind of a pain to do in this game, but good enough. Now, with most of this interior done, I wanted to get to the central communal spaces outside of the bedrooms, and on both this upper level here and this hallway here. We don't have to go with this exact kind of trapdoor in this area. We could go with a mangrove trapdoor. Make a little closet like this. We can add another flower pot in the corner here. This time maybe with just a small flower. And for the rest of this space, you probably don't want too much obstructing this hallway. But we can have a little chair. We can also put in some curtains if we feel like it. We could add a painting into this area, but it's a bit of an awkward space. So I think I'm just going to leave it blank, because you're not really going to be staring at it very often. And most stairways in people's actual houses in real life don't usually have paintings in them. At least that's my reasoning for not putting a painting there. It's not because I hate going through the freaking painting category where there's all of these paintings and I don't know what any of them mean because they changed the game and it's hard to figure out which one's which. Moving on. Upstairs. We have this little area, and I was thinking we have some couches up here. How many pots can you put in a house? That is the real question when you are making an interior. And how many candles can you collect? If you want to make a space like this in survival, you're going to need a whole lot of clay and a whole lot of wax. So be prepared. I think we can have a chair here, and then maybe move the couch one over to here. And then in this little corner, we maybe have a bookshelf that is serving as a table. I really wish we had books that we could just like place on top of things, but we don't have that because the game said no. So instead I'm just going to place a little lantern in the corner. And maybe we put a little shelf here with just some fun stuff on top of it, like a chest, maybe a pot, and maybe a little shelf above that we can pretend is actually ever going to be used. We can put a little curtain above there. And for little blank spaces like this, we could put a painting in, but again, I don't feel like it. For no particular reason. It's nice because that we have the 2-layer floor so that areas where we want to have carpet, we can, without worrying about how ugly it is from the underside. We'll put this guy up here so he can feel real special and everybody can look at him. And right about here, we might even have a little table. We can have another little flower in here. Here, we can put one of these guys in. We'll extend the curtain down one. And with that, I think this space is pretty much done. The chair is a little bit in the way, so I might move it over one. I'll see if that looks okay. Here, the chair is a little bit less in the way. Really quickly, we're gonna move on to the kitchen and dining room and finish those up. So we've got these areas to work with here and over here. Now, for the kitchen, I'm thinking we want to have a fireplace, but we can't have it in line with this one because then we'll be able to see through to the living room. So instead, we're going to go something like this. We're going to have a grate. You don't want to cook right on top of the fire. You want a grate to cook on top of. Kind of like a pizza oven. Do something kind of like this. And then on the outside, we will have 2 trapdoors. There's many different ways that you can do oven designs. I might even do a video eventually about all the different oven designs that I like to do. But for this one, I think is a nice corner design and it can fit in a lot of stranger areas. Or else, if you just want a standard one, we of course have this kind of fireplace. But for a kitchen oven, you usually want it to be a block up so that people would actually, you know, in theory, actually be able to use it. But, you know, this is a video game, so. The roof is a little bit lacking in here, so we're going to quickly put one of those in. And while we have lots of natural light, we want to make sure that we're including lights into the ceiling as well. I like to make my roofs a little bit sloped just to cover up all the areas where I make little mistakes and such. We want to cover up most of the ceiling, but in areas like this, it's a little bit of a pain because we need this slab at this awkward spot. So we're just going to cover it up with a trapdoor instead. And we can even incorporate that into the design so it looks intentional. We can do a similar thing on this side. And for the rest of the roof, we just can have the slabs one above. Maybe we do some stuff like this. And we of course want to make sure that we are adding in lighting. I like to use trapdoors to make this slope a little bit more gradual. And then maybe here in the center is where we finally have our light, and we can just do something like that. Or we can even have something hang down. Then to get to the rest of the kitchen, I'm thinking we want to have at least some shelves here and there. So we can use these as shelves. Let's just get some items that we might find in a kitchen. I don't know why we'd want a brewing stand, but let's pretend that that's going to be useful in here. Same with the furnace. A cauldron. We can use as a sink. Maybe some candles. And I always like to have some glow berries to use as a, I like to pretend that these glow berries are drying herbs that are just growing here in the kitchen. So while they're cooking, they just grab some of this. Maybe we want to have the sink here. We can have a tripwire. Just as a little spout for the kitchen sink. We also might want some barrels for storage. We can pretend these candles are not candles and maybe there's some sort of item in the kitchen that they're keeping there. And then here, maybe we have a brewing stand there. Have another little pot right here. And while this is technically the oven, we maybe want to have a little furnace in here as well that we can actually use. Here we can have our little oven, not centered in the windows, but whatever. And then maybe some more shelves around here. Some more barrels in the corner. Going up kind of like that, maybe. Maybe the shelf extends up in front of the window there. And here we can have maybe just a few things growing. Just some stuff stored away for now. And maybe here we will have the barrels extending out so that we have some signs around the bottom like so. We can always add in a few extra bits of detail if we don't like this. Maybe we have a lantern in the corner just to fill in that space. And you know, it's not a realistic house. We can have some leaves growing from the ceiling. Or in the forest after all, maybe they have an overgrowth. We're also going to cover this part of the fireplace with some trapdoors because I thought it looked a bit strange, and bring the ceiling down a little bit like that. And so when we enter the room from all of these angles, we have a nice little kitchen. Then moving on here to the dining room. We already have a ceiling in here already done. So we're just going to work on the furnishing for in here. We're going to start out with the what color carpet we want. I'm going to go red for this room. We're going to make sure that we put this under where we want our seating to go. Because this is a fairly small space, I'm just going to go with a little square table like this. Or maybe not. Maybe that's a bit big. Maybe we just go with something like this. Maybe we're going to have just a little skinny table in the middle of the room, kind of like this. And we'll put a few seats around it. We can get some slabs and choose what color seating we want. Here we will have just some simple chairs. And here we can extend the carpet out wherever we want. Have it kind of pull up in certain areas where we can actually place carpet. Like I mentioned previously, when you have smaller spaces, it's a little bit more challenging to work with, so you don't always end up with a nice grand table most of the time. I personally much prefer to build on a bigger scale when I'm doing interiors, but we work with what we've got. This is small scale interiors. This is another kind of design for a table that we can do, where we have banners coming down from this on the ends and wool in the center to make it look like it has a tablecloth on it. But for the sake of this room, we're just going to keep the design fairly simple and just have something like this. A dining room usually has some storage in it, so we're going to put some storage over here next to the entrance to the shed. It's not really a shed, it's a workshop. And we're going to lower this down so the shelving makes a little bit more sense. In here, we can store all kinds of things that we feel like having. We can store end crystals here, you know, whatever you really want. I think up here, we maybe might have a chest. In the corner, too, we can also have another pot for decoration. And maybe even a little jukebox in the corner. To neaten up certain areas of the ceiling, maybe we will bring these trapdoors out. And we might put these trapdoors on this side so that we can make this area look a little bit better too. On this side we can put a painting. I know it's not centered, but it's going to be the best that we can do because there's really nothing much else we can put here. We could put one of these guys in, like this guy in the center. I like just one simple painting like that. Now I gotta add to my little forest house some leaves just to give it the fantasy sort of feel. I just like adding leaves to the roof. I think it's fun. This room doesn't really have many leaves on the roof, but I personally really like the way this looks. So I'm just adding it. And besides, I think leaves, if you add leaves, then it covers up all the bits you don't like. So especially in small spaces, I would highly recommend just going with a little bit of the fantasy vibe just so that you can fix your mistakes. So this is my complete dining room. It's turned out like this. So when you enter the house, you can immediately be led to the dining room. And then through here to the kitchen. With that, I think the space is fairly nicely done. And so this is basically all of the interior for each room. So here's this yellow bedroom. Here's this bathroom. Here's our nice blue bedroom. Here's the upstairs lounge. Here's our little hallway. Here's the master bedroom. And the ensuite. And finally in here is our home office. I did end up doing the sunroom off camera at one point because it's actually supposed to be on camera, but things happen sometimes, you know? And sometimes it doesn't turn out so good. And with that, we've come to the end of this video. I hope that this was somewhat educational. Who knows if it was or it wasn't. But I will see you guys in the next episode. Goodbye.